The night before everything unraveled, the Royce mansion echoed with a strange pattern of soft tapping, like footsteps in places no one should be walking. Elena Cruz heard it first while wiping down the marble counters in the dim kitchen, the sound rhythmically pulsing through the old pipes as if the house itself was trying to whisper a warning. She paused, cloth in hand, and listened. The tapping stopped. Only the hum of the refrigerator remained. She exhaled slowly, shook off the feeling, and returned to work. But then she heard a second sound, something much more concrete. The quiet clink of a spoon stirring liquid. Elena stepped softly toward the doorway and peeked into the warm glow of the sitting room. Vivian Royce stood there, tall and elegant in a silver nightrobe, her back partially turned, one manicured hand holding a teacup, while the other sprinkled a fine white powder into it. Her face was serene, too serene, like someone completing a ritual they had practiced many times. Elena's heart thumped once, hard. She leaned forward, her voice barely a whisper. "Mrs. Royce, what are you doing?" Vivian didn't startle. She only looked over her shoulder, lips curling. "Preparing Samuel's tea. It's chamomile. Helps him sleep." She set the spoon down with a soft click and smiled the same way she smiled for charity galas. Perfect, staged, cold. Before Elena could say another word, footsteps approached. Samuel Royce, tired-eyed and still in his work clothes, walked toward the room with a weary sigh. "You're still awake, Viv? I told you not to wait up." Vivian lifted the cup. "Just warming your tea, darling." Elena saw his hand reach out. Instinct slammed into her chest. She didn't think. She moved. "Sir, don't." Her voice cracked through the room as she rushed forward and slapped the cup from his hand. It shattered on the floor, tea splashing across the carpet. Vivian gasped sharply and stepped back as if she had been struck. "Elena, have you lost your mind?" Samuel stared at Elena, stunned. "What's wrong with you?" Elena trembled. "Sir, she put something in that tea. I saw her. There was white powder, I'm sure of it. I swear I wasn't mistaken." Vivian clutched her robe dramatically. "Samuel, are you hearing this insanity? She barged in here and attacked me." "I didn't attack you," Elena said, voice breaking. "I was trying to help." "Help?" Vivian barked. "By throwing boiling tea across the floor? By accusing me of poisoning my own husband?" Samuel rubbed his temples. "Elena, this is serious. Are you certain about what you think you saw?" Her throat tightened. "I didn't think I saw it." "I saw it." Vivian folded her arms. "She's unstable, Samuel. I warned you she was becoming erratic." Elena shook her head, tears stinging her eyes. "That's not true." Samuel lifted a hand. "Enough. I'm sorry, Elena, but this is unacceptable. You crossed a line. I can't have someone in this house who's going to act out like this." Her breath caught. "You're firing me?" Vivian stepped forward, eyes gleaming. "Effective immediately." Samuel didn't contradict her, and that silence was the sharpest wound. Elena nodded once, swallowing her grief. "Sir, please just be careful." Vivian snapped, "Get out." With shaking hands, Elena collected her bag and walked out of the mansion she had served faithfully for 3 years. The cold night air bit at her cheeks, but not as sharply as Vivian's last victorious smirk. At Ruth Adams's small boarding house, Elena sat on the edge of the bed, replaying the scene over and over. Was she wrong? No, she couldn't be. Vivian had poured something in that cup. But why? And why did Samuel trust his wife so blindly? The next morning, Nolan Briggs showed up at the boarding house unannounced. He looked worried, glancing around before speaking. "Elena, what happened last night? I heard the shouting from the garden." She explained everything, the words shaking out of her. Nolan listened, jaw tightening. "I believe you," he said. "Vivian's been acting strange for weeks. And listen, there's something you might not know. Years ago, Samuel had an insurance assessment done on the kitchen. They installed a tiny security camera above the refrigerator. No one ever bothered to take it down. Elena's eyes widened. A camera? Nolan nodded. It uploads automatically to a cloud account. Samuel doesn't even remember it exists. Her pulse raced. Nolan, do you know the login? I remember the email they used, and the default password was never changed. I checked once, long ago. Please, Elena whispered, help me. Half an hour later, sitting on the worn couch in Ruth's living room, Elena watched footage load frame by frame, time-stamped, clear, and then unmistakable. Vivian entering the kitchen alone, opening a drawer, retrieving a vial and pouring white powder into Samuel's cup. Elena covered her mouth, tears spilling. Oh my God, she really was trying to... Nolan placed a hand on her shoulder. You need to send this to Samuel. Her hands were trembling as she forwarded the footage to Samuel's private email, adding only 3 words. Please watch this. An hour passed, then her phone lit up with his number. Elena, Samuel said, voice quieter than she'd ever heard it. Is this real? Yes, sir, she whispered. It's real. A long breath. Thank you. He hung up. Inside the mansion, Samuel played the footage twice. Vivian sat on the couch, filing her nails, not even looking up. So you're upset, she said flatly, hearing the video replaying. I can hear it in your breathing. Samuel muted the audio. Vivian, what is this? She gave a lazy shrug. It's melatonin powder. You've had trouble sleeping. Why hide it? Because you make a fuss when I suggest supplements. She approached him, touching his chin. Samuel, this is ridiculous. Don't let that girl manipulate you. She didn't manipulate anything. This camera, it caught everything. Vivian scoffed. You're overreacting. Am I? Because she lost her job for trying to protect me. Vivian's eyes flickered, for a moment too quick to ignore. I won't be spoken to like this. Samuel stepped back. Vivian, did you try to hurt me? Her mask cracked. Just a hairline fracture. You think I'd kill the man who gave me everything? That's not an answer. She inhaled sharply, then exhaled through clenched teeth. You're letting a maid turn you against your own wife. She didn't turn me. Evidence did. Vivian's voice dropped. Careful, Samuel. You're digging into things you don't understand. He stared at her. What things? Vivian didn't answer. She grabbed her purse and stormed out, slamming the door so hard the chandeliers rattled. Back at the boarding house, Elena sat by the window, watching rain streak the glass. Her phone buzzed again. This time it was a message from an unknown number. You should have kept quiet. This isn't over. Elena's breath froze in her chest. Elena stared at the message, her fingers cold against the phone screen. The boarding house suddenly felt smaller, the walls pressing in with a quiet sort of danger. She showed the phone to Ruth, who frowned deeply and said, You should tell Samuel. Elena hesitated. I don't want to drag him into more trouble. Ruth touched her arm. Child, you're already in it. Meanwhile, at the mansion, Samuel stood alone in his study, the glow of the hidden camera footage still reflecting across his laptop screen. Everything inside him felt like shifting sand, guilt, fear, disbelief. Vivian had always been intense, dramatic, difficult, but this crossed into something darker, something he wasn't prepared to face. His lawyer, Paul Trent, arrived within the hour after Samuel requested an urgent meeting. Paul watched the footage quietly, his brows tightening. This is damning, Paul said. Samuel, she didn't make you tea. She prepared a controlled dosage. Samuel ran a hand through his hair. Why would my wife want to harm me? Paul's voice softened. When someone has something large to lose, money, status, access, they can do desperate things. Samuel swallowed. We need to check the foundation accounts. Paul nodded once. I'll bring in a forensic team. But before they left the room, Samuel's phone buzzed with a message from Elena. He opened it, expecting fear or hurt. Instead, he saw the threats she'd received. He showed Paul. This is Vivian. Paul's expression hardened. Then this is more serious than you think. That night, Elena walked back from the grocery store, the air thick with mist. She heard footsteps behind her, slow, deliberate, synchronized with hers. She paused. The footsteps paused. She continued. They continued. Her voice trembled. Who's there? No answer. She gripped her bag, quickened her pace, and turned off the main road, heart thundering in her chest. When she finally reached the boarding house, Nolan Briggs stepped out of a parked car nearby. Elena, he called, hurrying toward her. I saw someone following you, a tall man in a dark jacket. He ducked behind the hedge when I pulled up. Her breath shook. Why is this happening? Nolan placed a firm hand on her shoulder. Because Vivian is scared. You've exposed something real. Elena felt tears sting her eyes. I don't want anyone hurt. You won't be, Nolan said. Not while I'm around. Inside, they sat at the table, tension thick like smoke. Nolan leaned forward. You need to talk to Samuel face to face. There's more going on here. What more? Elena whispered. Nolan looked down at his hands, then back at her. I found something in the shed 2 days ago. Vivian's signature on several boxes marked for the foundation. Boxes that were supposed to hold medical supplies. But when I lifted one, it felt empty. And when I opened it, it was filled with paper. Fake receipts. Elena felt a chill run through her. She's been stealing from the foundation. Nolan nodded grimly. And sending threatening messages to keep anyone from finding out. Elena closed her eyes. Samuel needs to know. The next morning, Samuel personally picked Elena up. She expected him to be distant or formal, but when he saw her, he immediately said, I'm sorry for everything, for doubting you, for letting Vivian throw you out. You didn't deserve any of this. She blinked at him, caught off guard by the sincerity in his voice. Sir, I just wanted to help. I know, he said quietly. And I failed you. The drive to the mansion was silent but heavy with tension. Samuel parked and turned to her. Elena, there's something else. My foundation's financial officer resigned abruptly last year. She left a note saying she couldn't work under certain pressures. At the time, I believed it was burnout. Now, he couldn't finish the sentence. Inside the mansion, Paul Trent was already waiting with Detective Carter Hale, a sharp-eyed investigator with a calm presence. Carter gestured to a stack of printed documents. We've traced several unauthorized transfers, he said. Large sums, hundreds of thousands, routed to offshore accounts, all tied to accounts created under Vivian's maiden name. Samuel felt his stomach drop. Oh, God, Elena felt the room spin. She was stealing, and maybe trying to, Carter finished for her, eliminate him. Yes, if Samuel became ill or incapacitated, she'd gain control of his assets. Samuel sank into a chair, covering his face. I let her close. I let her handle everything. Elena stepped closer. Sir, she deceived everyone, even me. He lowered his hands and met her eyes. Elena, you saved my life. She froze at the depth of emotion in his voice. I only did what anyone with a conscience would. No, Samuel said quietly. Most people look away. The moment hung between them until Carter cleared his throat. There's more. We have a whistleblower who wants to speak. Mara Jensen, Paul added, former accountant. She said Vivian threatened her family if she exposed the missing funds, Carter continued. Samuel exhaled shakily. Vivian, what have you done? Just then, the front door slammed open. Vivian stood there, hair unkempt, makeup smeared, eyes wild with fury. "So this is your little party," she spat. "You dragged everyone into our private matters?" Carter stepped forward. "Mrs. Royce, you need to stay calm." "Calm?" she screamed. "My husband is letting the help poison his mind." Samuel stood slowly. "What I saw wasn't poison. It was the truth." Vivian moved fast, faster than anyone expected. She lunged toward Elena, fingers curled like claws, rage twisting her face. "You ruined everything!" she shrieked. "Everything I built!" Samuel caught her wrist midair, pulling her back. "Vivian, stop!" she thrashed. "Let go of me! You don't know anything! You don't know what I've sacrificed!" Carter grabbed her other arm, his voice firm. "Vivian Royce, step back." She laughed, a shrill, broken sound. "Go on then. Arrest me. Samuel won't survive without me. He never could." Samuel's voice dropped to a whisper. "I survived the day I stopped believing your lies." Those words pierced her like a blade. For a moment her expression fell apart, rage, shock, fear, before she pulled herself together and spat on Elena's shoes. "You'll regret this." Elena flinched. Vivian wrenched herself free and stormed out of the house before Carter could block her. Tires screeched outside as she sped away, leaving a trail of dread in her wake. Samuel sank into a chair again, trembling. "This isn't over. She's going to retaliate." Elena swallowed hard. "She already has." Her phone buzzed. Another message. "You took my life. I'll take yours." Her hands shook so violently she nearly dropped the phone. Samuel saw it. His expression hardened. "Elena, she won't touch you. I promise." But promises felt fragile, and outside the storm clouds gathered as another car parked quietly across the street, its windows tinted black, engine running, waiting. The following morning the mansion was unusually silent, almost tense, as though it had held its breath overnight. Samuel, Elena, and Nolan moved carefully through the hallways, their footsteps echoing against the marble floors. Carter and Paul trailed behind, documents and laptops in hand. The storm outside had cleared, leaving a damp, gray light that filtered through the tall windows. It was a world washed clean, but the tension inside the house was far from dissipated. Elena couldn't stop glancing at every shadow, every corner. "Do you really think she's gone?" she asked, voice low. Samuel shook his head slowly. "Not gone. Just somewhere she can watch, plan, and wait. But she won't catch us off guard again." Carter stepped forward, tapping on the laptop he had brought. "We've compiled everything. Emails, transfers, surveillance footage. Vivian's trail is extensive. She's covered her tracks, but not completely. If we move fast, we can stop her before she tries another stunt." Nolan frowned. "I saw her last night. She wasn't alone. Two men in black jackets hanging near the estate watching. She's not acting recklessly. She's planning strategically." Elena swallowed hard. "Then we need to warn Samuel. Warn everyone involved." Paul nodded. "Agreed. But we need evidence first. Public exposure will protect Samuel and anyone else she targets. We can't risk taking action without the legal framework ready." They spent the morning organizing the proof. Emails from Mara Jensen, showing Vivian's forged receipts and offshore transfers, were lined up alongside surveillance clips and photographs of empty boxes marked for medical supplies but filled with falsified paperwork. Every piece of evidence told the same story. Vivian Royce had built a web of lies so intricate that even those closest to her had been trapped in it. By afternoon, Samuel called an emergency board meeting for the foundation. The room was tense as staff and trustees gathered. Paul and Carter presented the evidence, detailing Vivian's financial misdeeds and the attempt on Samuel's life. Whispers filled the room as shock registered on every face. A trustee finally broke the silence. This is inconceivable. How could someone so close do this? Samuel's voice was steady, controlled. We trusted the wrong person, but thanks to Elena and to those brave enough to speak out, the truth is now clear. Vivian Royce is no longer part of this foundation. Elena felt warmth rush through her chest. It wasn't just relief. It was the quiet satisfaction of justice beginning to take shape. That evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, the media descended on the Royce mansion. Cameras flashed, microphones thrust forward. Samuel took the podium, flanked by Elena, Paul, and Carter. He spoke calmly, deliberately, his voice echoing over the gathered reporters. Our foundation was infiltrated by deceit, he said. But thanks to those with courage, honesty, and integrity, we've uncovered the truth. Actions have consequences, and those responsible will face the law. The reporters pressed questions, but Samuel answered each with clarity. Meanwhile, Paul filed the official complaints, and Detective Hale coordinated with authorities. Vivian Royce was soon arrested at a luxury hotel where she had attempted to hide. Her attempts to manipulate the media and silence witnesses failed spectacularly. Her empire of lies crumbled as law enforcement uncovered the full extent of her schemes. Elena watched as Samuel, once hesitant and uncertain, now stood resolute. His eyes found hers across the podium. You changed everything the moment you spoke up, he whispered. Elena smiled softly. Sometimes the smallest voice is all it takes to stop a storm. The following weeks were a blur of restoration and reassurance. The foundation underwent sweeping reforms, with Mara Jensen taking an active role in ensuring financial transparency. Elena helped implement new whistleblower protections and internal auditing systems. Trust, once fractured, slowly returned. Nolan remained close, vigilant but discreet, ensuring that the estate and its inhabitants were safe. Samuel worked tirelessly to restore both public confidence and internal morale, often consulting with Elena on decisions that affected the foundation. Each day he grew more certain that truth and loyalty, not fear or wealth, were the pillars that would hold them steady. One quiet evening, Samuel and Elena walked through the mansion's restored gardens. The air smelled of wet earth and blooming jasmine, the storm long past. "Do you ever think about how fragile it all was?" Elena asked. Samuel nodded. "Every day, but I also think about how courage can shift the balance. One person stepping forward, it can change everything." Elena looked down at her hands clasped in front of her. "I didn't do it for praise. I did it because it was right. But seeing the foundation alive, the people safe, it feels bigger than me." "It is bigger than any one of us," Samuel said. "But it needed someone willing to act, to risk being wrong, to speak truth even when it was terrifying. That was you." A soft silence fell between them, the kind that doesn't need words. Finally, Elena said, "Do you think she'll ever try again?" Samuel's gaze hardened, resolute. "If she does, she won't succeed. Not this time, not ever." Outside, the city lights twinkled like distant stars. The mansion, once a stage for fear and deception, now breathed with a quiet peace. Samuel's foundation began to thrive under renewed leadership, and those who had been hurt found solace in the reforms and protections established in their wake. Elena, once the quiet observer, now had a voice that resonated through every corner of the estate. And as she stood in the moonlit garden, she realized that speaking up, trusting her instincts, and standing firm in the face of danger had not only saved a life, it had reshaped an entire world of quiet lies into one of honesty and hope. Carter Hale closed his file for the last time, a small smile touching his lips. Justice, finally. Samuel placed a reassuring hand on Elena's shoulder. "We couldn't have done it without you." Elena shook her head, voice soft but firm. "We all did it together. Truth always has allies. The night stretched calm and serene. Somewhere in the distance, a bird called, and the wind rustled through the trees. The storm had passed, leaving clarity and peace in its wake, and in the hearts of those who remained, a lesson lingered. Courage may start as a whisper, but it can grow into a roar that changes the course of everything. If you felt the fear, the silence, the strife, remember, one brave voice can change a life. So speak your truth. Let no lie survive. Stand tall, stay strong, and keep hope alive. If this story kept you on edge tonight, hit that subscribe button for more gripping billionaire romance thrillers right here on Prime Story Hub. Don't forget to like, share, and stay tuned. Your next obsession is only one story away.